doing? Welcome to American Defender. We're back here. We're at the bench today. And what we're going to do today is I got my 30-30 here, my Marlin 336. And I'm going to show you how to slicken up this action just as good as any gunsmith out there can do for less than 10 bucks with no special tools at all. That's what I'm going to show you today. Okay? Before we get started, we're going to need the obligatory Kopenschlagen Mintenhagen to get going here. This ain't going to take long. It's going to be well, you can have this done in under an hour if you really try. Okay. Let's get rocking and rolling. Alright, so we're going to make sure that this firearm is empty, which it is. She's empty. Okay? We're going to leave that hammer back, because what I'm going to do now is open up the action flathead screwdriver and take the arm out. And we're going to tear this gun down. Okay, we're going to tear it all the way down. Get my parts tray here. Yes, that's some old epoxy. Reuse, man. Recycle. Alright, take that apart. Set that aside. Pull the bolt out. Here comes our extractor. That goes in the parts tray. While I'm here, I'm going to get this screw that goes to, well, I'll get that. Actually, I'm not going to get that yet. I'm going to flip it over because now I have to tip it up like this. I have to get the screw for the stock. Stock has to come off. It's just one screw. Comes right out, slides right off. Like so. Set that aside. Here's your spring setup right here. What we do here, I gotta push this button. My finger down here, just lock. I'll use the screwdriver a bit. Okay, let that down. Push this to the side. That comes out. Okay, we got a screw on the side right here. It's got to come out. There's some little teeny tiny screws all over this thing. You don't have to remove those. Just the larger ones. Because what we're going to do is we're going to get inside here and we're going to go after the locking block. And we're going to go after the carrier mostly. Got a piece of fuzz on my screwdriver screwing with me here. Okay, so I'm taking the screw out of the bottom of the lower tang. There's one more screw. Actually, no, there's not. So you'll have a screw here. A screw in the back and a screw on the side. Then this tang should, maybe we do have to take this one out. Go ahead and take this hammer screw out. Okay, now see if that tang comes out. It should. Yeah, this just lifts right out. Set that to the side. There's our hammer and our strut. You've got a little screw on the right side of the gun. There goes our locking block. That only goes in one way. We're going to be working on that. Screw back here. This takes out your lifter. Alright, so we got all our parts out. That's the complete and utter disassembly of a Marlin 336 right there. And the parts we're going to go after are this guy. This is your lifter. Okay. We're going to go after your locking block. And we might go after our hammer. Just where the hammer rides and the bolt rides, where they mate. Some folks on the hammer here, there's a little bit of a hump right here. They like to go after it. I don't. I leave that alone. That's part of your locking. Other people like to go after the handle down here. I don't. You want as much meat on that as you can keep. Really, all we're doing is polishing. That's all we're doing. Okay, that's all we're going to be doing. The machining that's on these guns, it's pretty good, but you'll see there's a lot of marks. There's a lot of tooling marks. And that's kind of what makes everything rough. Like if you look at this, maybe you can kind of see all the tooling marks all over it. You can rub your fingernail on it and you can feel them. So all we're going to do is get rid of them. Alright. Now the first thing that I've done, and I've already done this, is I've taken a little file. And over on the back right here, you can kind of see it. I've trued everything up. Okay. And what I do is I just take a little set of needle files like this. Get a flat one. Get a really fine flat one. And you want to make sure you're keeping it flat and flush. You're just going after high spots. Okay. You're not really reshaping. And we just sit here and like this. And we're just trying to get the high spots. Alright. That's all we're doing. Alright. And there's high spots everywhere on this thing. The entire length. Don't need to get them perfectly flat. Not for what we're doing. And you want to make sure you keep that file flat running on there, because you don't want it to go uneven. Constant, even, flat pressure. Alright, so you can see there where we filed it. It's a lot flatter. Okay. On your carrier, and I've already kind of started it. So is the years of use, but right up in here, there's a lip on the new models. You get a new gun, there'll be a lip right there, and your cartridge will hang up on it. And what you do, I would normally shoot, a couple hundred rounds before touching it, just to kind of see where everything's wearing in. That's my suggestion to you. Then you get you a concave file, kind of like this. So it's kind of rounded. And then you go with the direction of the bullet that the round's going to travel, and you find where it's wearing, and you just kind of get in here and blend it. You're not trying to remove it completely, you're just trying to blend it. Okay. And again, I've already done this, but this is kind of how you do it right here. And when you file, don't do this number. This does nothing but dull your file one direction. Push it forward, lift it up, bring it back. Alright, that's pretty much good right there. That's good. And you can kind of see, okay, how I kind of blended it in. That's what you're looking for. You want that blended in. Make this surface one ramp kind of going up. Alright. You can have just a little bit of it left, a little bit of the material left, but you don't want that hard edge there. So what you're doing is get rid of hard edges. Okay, so next part. This is the part that's really going to make the difference. Go get you some 400 to 600 grit. and some 1,000 to 2,500 grit sandpaper. All right, we're going to do some polishing. If you want to start off at 400, you can. There's really no reason to. We're going to start off at 600. We're going to lay it flat on our table. It'd be even better if I had like a piece of glass or something to lay down, because then it's ultra flat, but this is good enough. We're going to take our locking block. Okay, now you'll notice your locking block. It has some sides that are black. Okay, and it has some sides that are machined. We do not want to touch these black sides. You don't want to touch those. Leave them alone. We're just going after this side and this side right here. And note that there's an angle right here. Leave it. Leave that angle there. All we're doing is smoothing things up and getting rid of the machining marks. So, use a little swirling circles. Holding it flat with a little bit of pressure. We're going to get on here and polish this up. Now we might change direction here in a minute. Go ahead and go straight back and forth with it. This is the direction it'll move. There we go. Nice and glossy, right? Some folks might feel good enough to stop right there, and you sure could. You sure could. That's good enough. But we want this puppy smooth. So, out comes 1,000 grit. Flat surface, same thing. Right on the side there. No more swirling, we're just going back and forth with it. The reason we started with the swirling marks is we were looking for high spots, and we wanted to make sure we were staying even. There we go, I can see my reflection in it now. See, now we're going to go over here, use the edge of the table. This side's going to be a little harder to do. No, we need to do this one to 600 first. Okay, you can look at this and you can see there's a high spot. So you can see the unevenness in the polish. Okay, there's an absolute high spot. So in that case, we're just going to do this. Remember, the goal is not to remove material. The goal is just to polish the surface. That's all we're doing. We're getting rid of a little bit of machine marks, so we will be removing just a tiny bit of material, but not enough to matter. All we're doing is, this is called hand finish. Okay, we're hand finishing the parts. Those of you that are in the machinist world already knew that, but those that aren't, well, now you know what it's called. Hand finish. I used to work in hand finish actually years ago at a place called Genuine Machine. Back in 2000, shit, that's 20 years ago. Worked in hand finish in QC department. Genuine Machine. I started off as a CNC operator, and within a week I got stuck in hand finish because they actually didn't need another CNC operator, which is good because I hate operating CNC machines anyway. I'm more of a manual machinist than anything. Alright, so that should be good enough. Okay, we just want to get it to where you can't feel it with your fingernail. Alright, and I can't really grab anything with the fingernail, so it's not measurable. And we're just going to do the same thing here. And it's just sanding. Okay, we're going to do this going up through all the different grits of sandpaper that I have here. We're going to go 600 to 1,000 to 1,500 to 2,000 to 2,500. If you feel like at some point in time you want to stop, you know, because you feel it's good enough, you can. All right. But this is probably going to be the most time-consuming part of the whole thing, is this sanding. Yeah, we're already getting, oh yeah, we're already baby butt smooth now. Okay. So go throughout all your grits in the same manner on your block, or you can stop at 1,000 like I am. And then we can go to this. Okay. So our lifter isn't flat. Okay, it's not flat. It's got some ridges and stuff. So we're not going to be able to lay it down on the table and sand it. So we'll have to do it by hand. So there we go. Let's polish this puppy up. I'm going to do the same thing with this. Start at 600, go to 1,000, 1,500, 2,000, 2,500. And I'm going to polish the entire thing. Alright, so you don't have to watch me. I'm going to go ahead and get it done, and then I'll come back. Okay, guys? And you can see right here, just that 600 grit. That's making a hell of a difference. So I'll be right back. When I'm back, we'll be ready to go on to the next step. Okay, so as you can tell, I've been busy. Here is our carrier. All polished up. Now down in here, don't have to worry about down in there. Down in there, you don't even worry about it. The main parts on this carrier, you want to really worry about it right here. This little hinge point, the sides, your cartridge ramp right up in here, and the face. That's where you really want to worry about, and the whole bottom right here. All right, so we took this to 2,500. I went ahead, for the sake of the video, and polished my locking block to 2,500. Okay, it's polished to 2,500. The next part of this whole thing is the hammer, and you can choose to do this or not choose to do this. It's completely up to you how far you want to go. Okay, you can look on your hammer and you'll see where the bolt's been riding, and that's where you want to polish. You don't got to go crazy on it. Don't get down here on your sear notches. Okay, don't polish down here. Just this face right here. This is all we're looking for. Okay, and we ain't got to go crazy on it. We ain't got to go to 2,500. We'll start off at 6. This is really quick. Kind of roll it a little bit. Now I've got one of those extensions on there, so it's kind of difficult, but pull it back to the edge of the table. Okay, so there's 600. Now I'm going to skip right on up to 15. And I'm going to stop there. And if you wanted to, you could put some blue back on there. I'm not going to. I've done this on a couple other 336s, and it really does make a huge difference. Okay. And there you go. All right, that's good enough. Moving on to the bolt. All right, so the bolt, you can choose to sand this if you want. That's clearly up to you. I generally don't. I don't touch the bolt. I don't mess with the bolt. There's the way this thing is designed. It's got the slight little hump and everything back there. There's folks that want to like to take that down. I don't take that down. If you want to, you can take some 1000 grit and go over it. I normally don't. But you can real quick just give it a little bit of this. Rotate the bolt in your hand. That's about all she needs right there. And then down this groove right here, if you want to, you can. I'm not going to. I do need to wipe this off though, because I don't want any of that stuff off the sandpaper in my gun. Okay. And that's it. So now we reassemble. Alright, now we're ready for reassembly. So let's get our paper out of here. And let's take a look at what we do. Again, if you want to, you can sand on here if you want. You don't have to. I'm not going to. That's pretty much burnished in. This gun's from '64, so a lot of the stuff was already pretty much burnished in, and a lot of the little scratches and machine marks, I don't know how well you guys can see that, but you're not getting them out. They're not coming all the way out. Not without changing the design and possibly going too far. They're not going to come out too deep. They're probably 5/6 thousandths of an inch deep. They're too deep. So as long as you can't catch them with your fingernail, you're good. Okay. All right. So let's put her back together. Okay. So first things first. Here's something else I like to do. This screw right here. I need my drill. I like to usually chuck this up in a drill, and this hinge point right here, sand it down. I'm not going to this time, just for time reasons. But this screw sits up in here. Actually, yeah, I am. I'll do it by hand. And this is the rotating point for your carrier. So let me get my drill, and we'll show you how to polish it. Okie dokie. All right, got my drill, got some duct tape. Masking tape works too. I couldn't find my masking tape. We're going to take a little bit of this duct tape. We're going to put it around the head of the screw because we've got to mount the screw into the drill, and we don't want to scar our screw. So I'm going to just wipe that off real quick. And I'm just going to line the head right here with this duct tape. Oh, no, there's a little much right there. Okay. Alright, and that's just there to kind of pad the screw. We don't want to polish the threads at all. We only want to polish the shaft of the screw. That's it. That's all we're doing. Okay. So this takes a little bit of some finesse. Sometimes I ain't got that finesse. Sometimes I do. Okay. So we're going to grab our 600 grit. Going to tear a little strip. And I'm just going to, just like this. Oh, I'm touching the threads. Flip it over. There we go. Let's give it a little more. It needs a little more. I'm sorry, you guys. I just realized that you can't see that on camera. I'm holding the paper like so up against the back of it. Okay. Give me my 1000 grit. Gonna fold it in half. Fold it one more time, just to make a nice sturdy little thin strip. And I'm gonna get it up and over. See if I can maybe adjust this so you can see it. There we go, that's good. Alright, so just like that. Not touching the thread. Moving it back and forth. Every now and then I'll adjust my paper so we're not on a worn piece. Okay, that should be good enough. Let me feel it. We're going to go to 1500. Same thing. Little strip. Fold it over. Fold it over again. So I make this little strip like this. Bring that on up. Pinch with your fingers here, but not tight. Pull down slightly. Just move it back and forth. Real short little movement. That's good. Okay. All right, take it off our tape. And there's our polished screw. Okay, now it's time for reassembly. First thing to go in is going to be our follower. Okay, so this goes in first. Before we put it in, I will take some Lucas, love this stuff, and I'll put a little drop right here. I try to put a little drop. I usually get a big old drop. The way they made that bottle, I'll just spread that one drop kind of around everything here. Also, when you're doing this carrier, you'll see this little spring-loaded doohickey on the side right here. Don't mess with the hook. This you can polish the surface of, but don't mess with that hook. Don't touch it. That affects the timing and everything. Just don't play with it, okay? So we've got this pretty much rubbed down with some lube. All right. So what I'll do is I'll stick this down in here like this. Gonna line the hole up. It's on the right side. It's the small screw you took out of the right side. We take our screw that we just polished. Looks like I got some funk, and I'm going to chase that real quick with my fingernail. Get this funk out of these threads. Alright. Take a little oil, put it on the screw, kind of spread it around a little bit on there. Line all this up, slide her home. Always start your screws by hand. Okay, stick that right on up in there. Okay, get my screwdriver. Send it on home. And when you tighten these screws, they ain't got to be super tight. They ain't got to be He-Man strength. They just got to be snug. Alright. Now we take our locking block, do the same thing, a little oil here. It's going to be slicker than snot. A little oil on the back. This locking block is where most of your roughness and everything comes from, is in this locking block and in that loading ramp. Okay, so we want to butter this one up kind of good. And we're going to slip it down in here, and I can only go in one way. It won't, so you can't get it wrong. It just slides down in there. Okay, so now you got that in there. So now I believe we are ready to put our bottom back on here, our bottom tang. If you want to, now's a good time to oil your trigger. I've already done that, so I don't need to do that. So I'm going to just slide this. Wish I didn't have a scope on here because it would make this a lot easier. We're just going to stick this right on in here like this. Okay, and it just sits in there like that. And what I like to do is get all the screws started before I tighten them. Okay, that is key to this. Get them started before you tighten them. There's one, and there's two. It's a little longer. You'll have these two short stubby screws. You'll have this one and this other little short one. This goes to the bottom front. This goes on the side. Okay, this goes to the left side. So we come over here, we get this screw in here, and I just get it started by hand. Okay, that's all I care about. Get it started by hand. Flip it around, take our other screw, pop it back in. Get it started by hand. The reason I started by hand is because these gun threads like this are incredibly fine. Sometimes you can't use your finger like I right now. So what I do is I will run it backwards, and you'll feel it go clunk, and then it'll tell you it's lining up. Because you do not want to cross thread this. There's my clunk. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and bring this one down a little bit. Still going to keep it loose, but it's just going to bring it down. Come over to this one on the front. Same thing, I'm feeling the threads. If it's giving me trouble, I ain't forcing it. Sometimes they do though. So that's why you see me doing this backwards and forth motion with my hand. I'm feeling the threads as it goes in. And that also kind of cleans the threads a little bit. At least I think it does. Okay. It's assuring me that as it goes down, it's going down right. Okay, we bottomed out. Alright, so now we've got this screw in, we've got the screw up on the side in, now we got to put the hammer in. Oh hammer, where art thou? Here you are. Okay, this just slides down in here. Let's see if I can do this so you guys can see it. So I got the hammer strut in first, and then you got to kind of fiddle fart with it a little bit. Down there. See if I can do it this way. Having a scope on here does not help, but you can get it out and can get it. There we go. Hopefully you guys caught that, because I'm not going to repeat it. Okay, so we get that hammered down in there. Alright, I'm going to grab my trigger. I gotta still kind of jiggle this thing to line this hole up. This is another screw, actually. Maybe we should. This is another. There we go. Lined it up. Okay. Maybe we will do that. This is another screw that we can polish. So I'm gonna do that real fast. I'm not even gonna bother taping it, to be honest. Normally I should, but normally I would. But I'm feeling pretty finesse today. Just don't clamp it tight. We're going to go straight to 1,000. Actually, I just got my strips right here. Let's use whatever this is. All right. Good enough. Didn't even booger the head of the screw. Look at that. 1960 steel, baby. Can't beat it. All right, here we go. A little bit of oil. Spread it around. On this, I like to get it on the threads. These threads on these Marlins will stick on you if you don't service your gun regularly. They will stick. Okay, place that down in there. And we're going to throw it home. Okay, that's snug. Alright, so I've got a screw here. That needs to, okay, this goes to my lever. Okay, so I am going on to my hammer strut. This is a very peculiar hammer strut, the way they do this, but I like the way they do it. And it's going to be incredibly difficult to show you how to get this on there, with the angle I'm at. So I'll try to show you. You have this piece. It just kind of jams in there, and your spring. So what I do is I take my spring, if I can get to where you guys can see this. It doesn't help that I got a black shirt on. Take my strut. I'm going to put the spring on the strut. Okay? There's a hole on the back of this piece here. That lines up with your strut. And what I found the easiest way to do is line this up. You'll see a little notch down here. I'm going to have to go off camera, guys. That little notch, you're going to put the bottom of the that little bracket in there, and then just kind of push forward and slide everything in. That's the easiest way to do this. Use the leverage. Use the force, Luke. All right. Put it in. Slide it on over. Just like this. And this is what it looks like when it's done. Okay. That's sitting down in the groove, and then the top just kind of locks it. So you push it in there, push this forward and in, and that goes in. Whoops. And then we give it the check. Okay. Our safety's still working. Notice I have a finger on the trigger, thumb on the hammer. Screwdriver comes up, push this, that comes down, and I lower it nice and easy. Okay, so while we're here, we'll just go ahead and, what was that? Oh, nothing, just junk. Okay, slip our stock on, slip our screw in the back, tighten this down. Now this is one screw you need to tighten down kind of tight. You'll feel everything kind of start pulling together. Just kind of, the way I do it is I just go till it stops. And it stopped right there. Okay. Then maybe eighth of a turn, if that. Alright, so we got that back on. We need to cock our hammer back. We've got to put our ejector in. It just lays in there. You've got a little nub on the back. My little trick for this, a little bit of oil right on that nub. And it goes down through your receiver here, push it until it stops. And it can be a little bit of a bear sometimes. Just get it in there, it'll catch that hole. Once it catches, I keep some downward pressure on it with my finger. I got a little oil on my hands here, so I'm just going to rub it on this bolt. We're going to do a little more oil here in a second, but we're going to put this in here. Line this bolt up. See what we got going here. Ah, crap, my ejector popped out. Okay, pull it back a little bit. This is probably the only part of the Marlin 336 that I don't like, is this ejector. This is probably the only thing. They could have threaded this little nub right here and put a nut on it. They'd have had to have extended it, of course, but down in there, give her a push back, let that fall in, maybe come from the front here. Sometimes you got to kind of wiggle it, make sure it gets into that hole on the side of the receiver. Take our bolt, run it in, there we go, bolt's in, push it forward, flip everything upside down, take our handle, got our little groove here, if I can see. Hello groove, where are you? Your grooviness, where are you? Did I move too far? A little hard to see, the lighting in this room blows. There's nothing I can really do about it. Okay, I found my groove. Just had a little too far forward. Again, if you, this one, if you want to, you can polish it. For time's sake, I'm not going to. Start it. Get down in there. Close it all up. Oh, wow. You got to cycle a couple times. That is so much smoother than it was. So much smoother. And I know how to make it even smoother than that. Take a drop of oil down in there. Cycle that down up in there. Alright. Oh yeah. Look at that, guys. Just so smooth. So that's how you slick up the action on your Marlin 336, guys. For under 10 bucks. It's real simple, it's real easy, it's real basic. It takes, basically what you want to do is take the friction out. After you're done here, we want to kind of go over our bolts, and we want to make sure that we got them nice and tight. Remember, some of these we didn't tighten down all the way, like this one. Okay, and that is all there is to it. That is how you smooth the action up on a Marlin 336, guys. Now, there's folks out there that go even more in depth and take the bolt apart and change this and that and handles, and you can do that if you want, but you ain't got to. Okay? So if you've watched this video all the way through, I thank you. Hopefully this helps you guys. It's been a long time since I've done a tutorial video like this. Is kind of old school American Defender kind of stuff. With that, I think I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. Like, rate, subscribe, and take kid fishing, take kid shooting. And I will see you on the flip. Bye now.